Chapter 1 Introduction. Background of the hypothesis that humans are not in their final growth form. Humans Homo sapiens have traditionally been understood as organisms whose life course proceeds through the stages of birth, infancy, adolescence, adulthood, senescence, and finally death. In other words, it is generally assumed that at the genetic level, we are programmed to follow the predetermined sequence: growth, maturity, decline, death. However, by analogy with insects such as butterflies or cicadas, or with certain marine organisms whose juvenile and adult morphologies differ radically, and which reach a final form only after molting or metamorphosis, a bold hypothesis has occasionally been proposed that our current human form may itself be merely a juvenile or submature stage, and that we are originally intended to undergo a further metamorphosis into a true final growth form. According to this hypothesis, most humans die of natural causes, old age, before reaching that ultimate stage. But a very small number of individuals may complete this metamorphosis, transcending to a dramatically different dimension or form, beings remembered in tradition as angels or aliens. Some proponents even note that the number of those who evolve into these fully mature forms might coincide with the symbolic count of those saved in the book of Revelation in the Bible. In this paper, we will examine this hypothesis, then speculate on what form or qualities humans might possess upon reaching their supposed final growth form. We will also explore why such a truth, if it exists, has not been publicly acknowledged, considering perspectives from mythology, religious imagery, spiritual movements, and natural science. Chapter 2 Metamorphosis from juvenile to adult, analogies in other organisms. 2.1 Classic metamorphosis in butterflies and cicadas. Insects, especially butterflies and cicadas, are prime examples of organisms whose larval and adult stages differ dramatically. A butterfly progresses through egg, larva, caterpillar, pupa, chrysalis, adult, winged butterfly. And once it becomes an adult, it adopts an entirely different lifestyle. Cicadas spend years underground as nymphs, before emerging, molting, and living briefly above ground as winged adults. These processes, known as complete metamorphosis, show that the juvenile form is really a preparatory phase for the adult. If we apply this model to humans, it suggests our present form may be akin to a larval stage destined to molt or metamorphose at some point, or under certain conditions into beings that traditions call angels or transcendent entities. 2.2 Marine larva and settlement metamorphosis. Many marine animals, jellyfish, corals, and other echinoderms also undergo radical morphological change between larval and adult stages. For example, some jellyfish species alternate between a sessile polyp stage and a free-swimming medusa stage. Sea lilies, crinoids, and other echinoderms begin life as free drifting larvae before settling on the ocean floor as adults. These examples illustrate that an organism's appearance, habitat, and lifestyle can shift dramatically during development. If humans likewise possess a latent stage of metamorphosis, one in which both bodily abilities and consciousness shift radically, then our current self-awareness and social existence might be nothing more than a preparation phase. 2.3 Complete metamorphosis is rare in warm-blooded animals. In mammals and birds, warm-blooded vertebrates, we do not observe complete metamorphosis. Growth involves continuous development of the same basic body plan, limbs, organs, and so forth, rather than a switch to a wholly different form. From a standard evolutionary biology perspective, the notion of humans undergoing a metamorphic leap into a new body form is implausible. Yet the hypothesis under discussion suggests that, while complete metamorphosis is normally absent in warm-blooded animals, an exceptionally small number of individuals might bypass the usual constraints and achieve a true final growth form. Chapter 3 The theory that humanity's final growth form is recognized as angels or extraterrestrials. 3.1 Images of angels and aliens. In many religious and mythological traditions, beings who transcend humanity are depicted as angels or gods with spiritual forms. In modern occult and spiritual movements, narratives often feature aliens or higher dimensional beings who appear to deliver messages. These entities are typically described as possessing advanced intelligence, supernatural powers, and sometimes glowing wings or bodies of light. If such figures are indeed humans who have completed a final metamorphosis, one could imagine that a handful of individuals have undergone this change, hiding among us or dwelling in a higher dimension, invisible to normal human perception. 3.2. Connection to the number of the saved in Revelation. The Book of Revelation in the New Testament contains a symbolic reference to 144,000 who will be saved at the end of days. Interpretations vary. Proponents of this metamorphosis hypothesis note that 144,000 might correspond to the tiny fraction of humanity capable of completing the final metamorphosis into angelic or extraterrestrial forms. They argue that most people die before metamorphosis can occur, while a select few evolve into the next stage. Throughout history, reports of angelic or alien sightings abound, but specific identities are never confirmed, consistent with the idea that only a rare few have completed this transformation. 3.3. A leap beyond evolutionary theory? From a Darwinian standpoint, the idea that humans might suddenly sprout wings or become luminous beings is outlandish. Yet this hypothesis posits that the final growth form would not merely involve physical wings, but a quantum or spiritual transformation of body and consciousness, enabling travel between dimensions. While lacking empirical evidence and dismissed by mainstream science, spiritual traditions have long held that humans can, through awakening latent potential, become godlike. The metamorphosis hypothesis echoes that theme, proposing a literal, rather than metaphorical, human ascension.